Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us. Hope your weekend is starting off well. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Illuminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and REMAX Advantage Plus. Appreciate you joining us here today. We are live every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts at any point. You can interrupt us. In studio today, you can see we got Mr. Steve Stalock in the middle with us. Scott, good morning to you there, buddy.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is going to be a fun hour of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We do it every Saturday. It is a beautiful day, a beautiful Easter weekend to you and your family, and Passover. Correct? Is this also Passover?
Yeah,
Passover. So you guys have a great weekend. mnrealestateshow.com is how you can check us out. And if you're watching on social media, just type in your questions and we will cover them as they come in.
Yeah, appreciate you joining us. And Steve, you can feel we got a little sunshine outside today. Feels good.
Love it. It's invigorating.
It is, and here we go. We're going live on air already. Thanks for joining us. Well, good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your Saturday is starting off well. It's April 19th, 2025. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Illuminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, REMAX Advantage Plus. Again, hope your weekend's starting off well, everybody. This is a live show, a local show, and interactive. At any point, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. 612-294-6949 at any point. Please don't hesitate to interrupt us. And again, hope your weekend's going well. Scott, good morning to you there, buddy.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, and we are we are live and local in Minneapolis every Saturday, talking everything real estate and mortgage related as it relates to the Twin Cities and Western Wisconsin. Love your comments and phone calls. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. And if you're watching us on any of the social media posts, just go ahead and type your questions in, and we will handle them as they come.
Yeah, first segment of the show, we always do like to dive in both with a mortgage update and a real estate update, just to give a little snapshot what's happening here in Minnesota, in Western Wisconsin, as we look at the real estate market. New listings, new homes for sale are up a little over 8%. There were 1,534 new listings that came on the market. Pending sales or accepted purchase agreements up almost 19%. 19% more accepted purchase agreements year over year. And then the inventory level is up 4%. We're up to almost 7,800 homes for sale in the Twin Cities. That median sales price also ticking up 6% year over year to $380,000. We're starting to see more activity. We can feel it on the Minnesota Real Estate Team, with the agents, with the accepted purchase agreements that are happening really all over the state, Western Wisconsin. Scott, spring market is here.
Yeah, spring has sprung, so to speak, and we kind of figured it's actually nice to see the numbers get into the 7,800 range for people that haven't caught the show for the last 20 years. Balanced market in the Twin Cities, about 18 to 19,000 homes. And we've been in a very aggressive seller's market for really about the last 6 or 7 years. And that's no different. But 7,800's, what'd you say, 5-6% above last year? If we can start to creep into that 10,000 range, keep interest rates in the low sixes, I think we can have more of what will feel more like a balanced market, even though that will still be a seller's market.
Yeah, I was just looking at the numbers here. Yeah, so our listings increased from last year, 8.4%. But our pendings are also up 18.7%. Yep. So more of those houses are coming right off the market as soon as they hit. So
yeah, it is encouraging to see. Again, we're seeing more, just generally speaking, more activity. Mike Overson, Luminate Bank, mortgage update here in the first segment.
Yeah, mortgage update. So if we go back to last week, no one liked last week, right?
No.
None of the markets liked last week. Interest rates didn't like last week. So, you know, the tariff stuff with China kicking back and all that. It was just, let's just discount that week, right? That was just an off week for everyone. Let's just move past that, right? So if we look at this last week here that we just got done with, we rebounded quite a bit, right? Because the tariff stuff kind of went away. It's like, all right, that's going to be pushed down 90 days down the road, you know, from what I could tell. And we gained a lot of that back. So we go back 2 weeks ago, we were at 6.375 2 Fridays ago. Last Friday, now we're at 6.99%. Now this Friday, we're back down 6.625, 6.75, somewhere in there. You know, so we came back down a little bit. And I think we'll just keep on drifting slowly down. So next week, you know, we're probably going to be mid sixes, and we'll probably be able to ride that out for a while.
Yeah, you know, for people out there, maybe explain this, Mike, because, you know, on Facebook, you know, the world's ending and the economy's bad and whatever else. And, you know, why aren't home prices going down? Why aren't interest rates going down? Why isn't our economy better? This was all promised day one and it's not happening. And those don't connect. I mean, a better economy does not translate into lower interest rates. It definitely doesn't translate into lower home prices. So what in your opinion can kind of equal this out to give everybody what they want? Better economy, lower interest rates. Obviously, home prices aren't going anywhere, but let's just talk those two things. How do we get a better economy and lower interest rates?
Well, that's a great question. So how do you get your cake and eat it too?
Yes,
Is that what
yes,
you're asking
yes,
for, Scott?
yes.
I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of life, you know? That's what I try to tell my kids, you know? You don't always get everything you want, but, you know, there's so many factors that go into it, right? So like world economics come into play with our mortgage rates here in the US. So the first time that I remember rates hitting 3.99% was when Brexit happened. So when Great Britain left the European Union, that caused our interest rates on the 30-year fix to dip below 4% for the first time in my career. It's the first time I ever saw it. And I'm like, why does that affect interest rates here? But that's the way it does. There's a global economy out there that affects, and people invest in, you know, outside of the US, inside the US. There's outside money coming in. There's money from here going out. So it's kind of all intertwined. So how does that happen? Bunch of different moving parts coming together to make it happen.
Yeah, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are local and live every Saturday morning. One listing before the break, Tracy Knutson, outstanding agent on the Minnesota real estate team and Max Advantage Plus. She has one for sale in Rogers, 13852 Jasmine Way, for $475,000. It is extremely well maintained, 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, 3-car garage home. She said it's got a great layout. It features a bright and open family room, cozy gas fireplace, main floor laundry, front den and office, and a half bath. The basement itself, it's finished, walkout basement, great for entertaining, complete with a 4th bedroom. You've got a large deck overlooking a private back irrigation system and a prepaid lawn service for the year. Includes 5 treatments and aeration, and it is a great neighborhood itself. Highly rated schools, parks, walking trails, and newer mechanicals too. So be sure to check that one out. 13852 Jasmine Way in Rogers for $475,000, Scott.
Yeah, man, I've got one. Mike Varner on the Remax Advantage Plus has got a new listing at where's my address here?
You know, I got that one too. No worries.
Yeah, go ahead.
No worries. Again, we're up against the first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Appreciate you joining us here at any point. 612-294-69. We'll be back after the break. Join us, everybody. Mike, so are you up as much? They said 20% increase. What are you seeing mortgage-wise year over year?
I literally just looked at these numbers the other day. So we're probably closer to maybe 15% from last year.
Wow.
Roughly, as far as Mark Branch goes.
Okay. Yeah. More activity. It feels good. Feels good. Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. Are you up 15%?
I might be a little bit higher than that. I'm very transaction based, and I haven't looked at my own numbers, but based on how tired I am, I'm way up in terms of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on social media. Good morning, Julie, Mark, Steve, Jen, Jennifer. Appreciate all your kind comments. Good morning, everybody. If you ever have questions or thoughts, interrupt us at any point. Mike, are we going to get down to the low sixes?
I think so. I think we'll brush fives. I think it'll be like last year. We'll probably brush the high fives, once or twice this year. Will it stay? I don't know. I'd probably not. We'll find out. There's only one way to find out, and that's to see if we can get there.
Yeah, it is interesting that we were talking about, when you want your cake and eat it too. I mean, people need to kind of get their head wrapped around that though. If the economy is going to boom, if the stock market's going to boom, if more people are going to have money in their pocket, that doesn't necessarily and normally does not trend into lower interest rates.
Right.
Hopefully what we can get is, 6.25, high fives. The whole, I keep seeing these things on Facebook. My lender said that we're going to be under 3% by June. We are not going to be under 3% by June unless we're attacked by aliens or something. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So just understand that what you read in the media is not what drives things.
Right.
Yeah. Again,
So true.
had a comment come in asking if you can buy a home during the redemption period and still close on it. Yeah, you can. Basically, there is a 6-month redemption period. So if someone was in foreclosure and it went to a sheriff's sale, most commonly there's a 6-month period where you can still buy the home, close on it. Mike, you've helped a lot of people in that type of situation from a lender's perspective.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, hey, redemption period is up in this day. Can we, it's 3 weeks away. Can we get this thing closed? And it's like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, and this is aging me, but back in the crash, back in 2000, let's call it 2007 to 2013, I got a call from a young couple. I remember it was Oliver Avenue North in Minneapolis. They had bought the house for $180,000. It was in foreclosure. They had not made a payment for a year, and they were asking what they should do. So I said, well, let me pull it up. So the sheriff's sale, which is the reset of the number. So again, you bought it for $180,000. The sheriff's sale was $17,000. So I called them and said, do you have a family member, an uncle, a dad, anybody that could give you $17,000 plus a few attorney's fees, and you can literally own your home for $18,000? They're like, that can't be true. That is true. Doesn't happen a lot, but in this particular case, and then because banks did not want stuff back, that redemption number was low. And you as a homeowner, you can either sell it or you can go in and redeem it at that number and you're done.
Yeah, we're going back live on air on WCCO. Got a couple other questions we'll get to. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend is going well. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us at any point. Scott was mentioning that listing with Mike Varner, an agent on the Minnesota Real Estate team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. He has one in Apple Valley, 6929 158th Street West for $375,000. It is a 3-bedroom, 4-bath home, has an updated kitchen, stainless steel appliances, wine cooler. It has a 2-story great room with a fireplace, wall of windows, got a private deck, a finished walkout basement, 2-car attached garage, and there's a community park and a pool very close by. 6929 158th Street West in Apple Valley for $375,000. Overson, a question was appraisals. Are you seeing many low appraisals come in, or are properties coming in at valuable?
Have we seen some low appraisals this spring? Absolutely, we have. The situations here, the most recent one, it was a listing for $575,000. My clients went in at $615,000 to get it, and they did get it at $615,000. Appraisal came back at $600,000, right? So original list price was 575, appraisal came in at 600, they paid 615 so they could get it because they're in a multiple offer situation, and that's what it took to get there. So it appraised for more than the original list price, but it didn't appraise for the purchase price there. But, you know, we had those conversations ahead of time. They're like, you know, it's likely it's not going to appraise for the 615. There was some appraisal gap coverage in there. So buyer and sellers already knew beforehand, you know, what was going to happen if the appraisal came in low. But those are the situations where you see them, right? Where you got to get aggressive as the buyer to go get that house. And then, you know, if you're going to be going up that much above list price, you could run into some appraisal issues.
Yeah, and it's always important for your, that's a very good way to say it. So we just had one that actually went $135,000 over list price. So obviously crazy. And what we told our sellers is you sold somewhere between your list price and that appraisal number. Somewhere in there is where it's going to come. It's not going to appraise at that number. It was that particular number was about $30,000 over the second offer. So when the appraisal came in, it came in about $20,000 below that, which our seller was thrilled in taking. You know, that you got to keep it in perspective. You still got a crazy number for it.
Right.
But at some point, you know, an appraiser can only do what an appraiser is. I mean, the value has to be at least within range, and that one was just a little bit out.
And just for if you are a buyer or seller, just kind of casually follow real estate, what is most common is if you write a purchase agreement or you get an offer on your home, the appraisal comes in at the value that was put on the purchase agreement itself. Now, the lender, there is the appraisal process if they're getting a loan, and the appraiser, again, and the lender are totally separate in that the appraiser is there to represent the bank, Mike, to protect the bank. And for people that, again, haven't bought or sold real estate in a long time, that's the difference now than the crash. What happened in the crash is that parties are not all together in one room. The appraiser is there to protect the bank and to protect you as the consumer, Mike.
Yeah, one thing you got to remember too is, you know, people automatically think, so if the appraisal comes in 20 grand low, I have to come up with 20 grand out of my pocket to keep the deal together. That's not necessarily the case. So let's say you're borrowing 80%, right? So you want to put 20% down so you avoid the PMI. So you're going to borrow 80%. Okay. The bank is going to give you 80% of the lower of the purchase price of the appraised value. So let's say the appraisal comes in 5% underneath your purchase price. Well, now in the bank size, you can leave your loan amount the same. In the bank size, now you're borrowing 85% instead of 80%. Still qualified for the loan. You still don't have to bring additional money out of your pocket. Yes, does PMI come into play now because you're borrowing 85% against the appraisal value? Yes, but that's not a major additional amount of money that needs to come out of your pocket. So you have a couple different ways to do it. You can bring the extra money to avoid the PMI, or you can not bring extra money to the table and just pay some PMI, and you're still good to go.
Yeah, and with all the multiple offers, we see, which is very, very common now, that what's called appraisal gap coverage. So there's 15 offers on a property. You're going to have people that write their offer, and they're going to be writing over list price, and then they're going to say the buyer agrees to pay appraisal gap coverage of X, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, whatever it is. And then, you know, you use that as the buffer. So if it does come in low, you know, you've got that buffer in there. I will throw this out there just so people understand that if an appraisal comes in, let's say you wrote $30,000 appraisal gap coverage, that buyer does not think the appraisal is going to come in $30,000 low. If it does, yes, but legally by contract, they are responsible to make that $30,000 up. Real world is a buyer is going to be really, really uncomfortable moving forward and paying out of pocket $30,000 to bridge that gap. The majority of time that money is negotiated out, and people are going to say, well, no, it's in writing. I understand it's in writing. And real estate contracts are real estate contracts. But the reality is there's a lot of ways to get out of a real estate contract. And if you get that big of a gap, just understand that a lot of times it is going to go back to negotiation.
612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Mr. Adam Benedict, great agent over in St. Paul on the Minnesota real estate team. RE/MAX Advantage Plus has one for sale in St. Paul. It's a condo, 300 Wall Street, number 708, for $775,000. It is a stunning, Adam said, penthouse suite. It's available for the first time since the 2023 conversion of the historic Great Northern Lofts building. Custom updates galore. Adam says every square inch of this unit has been remodeled. over 2,400 finished square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2 garage spaces, and you got a rooftop patio as well, 34 by 30 rooftop patio. Want to welcome on our friend, Mr. Steve Stalock. You've been waiting so patiently here as we're jib-jabbing about all kinds of stuff. Great to see you, friend.
It is great to be here on a wonderful sunny spring day.
Yeah, Steve, again, is a longtime partner with our team. He is a home inspector, represents you through the buying process. Steve, before we dive in deeply with the home inspection, had another text come in that says, you have, quote, LifeLock for stolen IDs. How concerned should one be about title theft? Or what are some ways one can help protect themselves from home title? Really good question. I think it's super important who you close with from a title company standpoint. For example, I personally have worked a lot with a local company called Tradel. They have a very detailed process. When it comes to, for example, wires, sending wires, they're communicating by phone with you as the customer. A lot of this phishing that happens is by email. It's by email. LifeLock, Scott, you had a smile on your face there.
Yeah, I think what they're talking about is there's a bunch of companies out there that are putting out these commercials that, oh my gosh, they showed up and there's eight mortgages on my house and now it's in foreclosure and I've lost my house. And so if you pay $49 a month to blah, 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 we're going to save your title. I can tell you that I've personally never seen it. Have you seen it, Mike?
Yeah, it's a bit kind of scammy.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've seen that.
I've never seen
before.
it. To Ryan's point, you go through a good title company. You're going to have title insurance that protects your title. I don't believe that somebody online can go and refinance your entire place with e-signatures and take your title. That's what they're saying. So if you're talking about those companies, I don't believe. I think it's a big scam. But that's with limited. I mean, maybe somebody out there has a story of somebody getting their title actually stolen. I personally have never heard of it.
Yeah, so when you buy a property, you can purchase what's called an owner's policy of title insurance, which is something that we recommend to customers. What that does protect you from an insurance standpoint is if there is a claim or someone, there's old, Uncle Frank or someone comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, I've got an interest in the house. What that homeowner's insurance, title insurance will do is protect your interest in the home, allow you to get an attorney to represent you through the process. But I think to Scott's point, as long as you're working with a good local reputable title company, they're going to be doing all that searching up front through the transaction guys to determine, is this title, is everything okay? Can clear title be conveyed? If you're seeing those national commercials, I'd personally just stay away.
Yeah, I would too. And and the reality is, people ask me all the time, Scott, should I get title insurance? Well, it's like any other insurance. It's a what in case situation. What if happens? And so, yeah, it's worth getting title insurance. In 27 years of doing this, I've had 2 or 3 times where the one that sticks out was a home that was sold multiple times in Apple Valley. And when I had sold it, there was still a lien against the original builder that was attached to this property, and it was not cheap. I don't remember the number, but it was in the $50,000-$60,000 range. And unless they had title insurance on it, they would have been stuck. And so title insurance is like any other insurance. It's just insurance in case the weird stuff happens. And every once in a while, weird stuff can happen.
Hey, we're up against our halfway point. Before we break, Sue Marty's got a nice one in St. Paul, 209 East 8th Street, unit number 406, 279.9. It is a 2-bed, 2 full bathrooms, got underground heated parking, a quick close possible, Sue says. Freshly painted, move-in ready, 209 East 8th Street, unit 406 in St. Paul for $279.9. Check that one out. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Good questions. Thanks for joining us. Show's going by quick. We got to get you on. Steve.
It'll
We gotta
come,
get you a
it'll
little
come.
love here. We gotta get you a little love. Good morning. Alex says I've done two, Alex Downer, a great agent on the team, says I've done 2 sales in that 300 Wall Street building. Absolutely amazing. Julio Silva, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Julio. Longtime friend, a partner on the team. Steve, what do you think inspection wise? Are you doing many of these walk-in talks or are you doing full inspections?
Mostly full inspections. I've had some requests on the walk and talks. I have to say, I'm just a single inspector and the walk and talks tend to come up like, I need it tomorrow. It's like, well, I'm booked solid for the next 4 days. I don't have an available slot.
Yeah.
So I'm not hitting totally on those, but they're out there and I'm on occasion doing those. So,
You know, when you said single inspector, it made me think like you're on Bumble.
oh,
For like,
yeah.
for like inspectors,
No.
like, is there like that would be like a new little niche, a niche.
Yeah, what do you
A
think?
new niche.
Yeah, what do you think, Steve?
Not kind of my style, but anyway, the point being,
Scott could help you.
Oh
Scott
yeah,
could help you.
I'll write your
He's a pro.
I'll write your profile.
You're a pro.
take a picture of me and put it through a very heavy filter. And, yeah.
So what's the thing, guys? What's going on with this thing? The Target action figure thing, or it shows the picture of you like the AI generated, and then it shows all your things. What's going on there?
Well, they're making fun of every industry. So like I just got one that was a female real estate agent action figure.
Okay,
And
the action figure.
it had the Lexus little truck that they all drive, or that the perception of all the women drive, you know, a cell phone with glitter on it. I don't remember it, but anyways, and it's in a cased in deal, and whether it's that or a fireman or anything else, those are kind of going around. Ryan's out. It's all in pink.
And my
What
favorite
would Mike
one,
be? Sorry, Steve.
my favorite one was the home buyer's dad shows up at the inspection.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what every realtor wants is the buyer's dad there.
Yeah, that is
Comes with a magnifying glass.
I mean, how often does that happen, Steve? I mean, like if you think of this spring, have you had it happen a few times
Oh, yeah.
already?
Yeah, parents do show up.
And how do you do that? How do you handle it?
Tell them to leave.
Basically, you know, I just acknowledge them. I encourage them to ask questions. You know, basically, if you're intimidated and you say you got to go, or if you make it confrontational, they're going to get confrontational. Instead, chat with them, welcome them, encourage questions. They go about their thing. They view the house. It's the first time they're walking through, and they're just fine. So, you know, it's one of those core human behavior things. Just acknowledge and welcome them.
Have you had many people, many that you've had to have
To manage?
conversations with?
Yeah, on occasion. And I will get that overprotective buyer's dad, who's a master plumber, and then he's going to ask me his 5 toughest questions he doesn't even know the answer to. You know,
Really?
oh yeah. Yeah, and so then you start going through stuff, and all of a sudden, Master Plumber Dad realizes there's so much more here than just plumbing.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, I had one that sticks out for me is Dad was a. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Well, live on air. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend's going well. April 19th. Happy Easter to all. Got a featured listing, 13707 Greenbrier Drive. Mr. Alex Zauner, great agent on the Minnesota Real Estate team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Mike and Steve. This one is in Minnetonka for $850,000. It is a 5-bed, 4-bath, 3,200 square feet. And Alex says it is nestled in the end of a cul-de-sac. It's a heavily wooded yard, perfect for that secluded feeling. He said outdoor lovers can enjoy a massive 30 by 13 screened-in porch while listening to your small private pond and water fountain. Wow. Main floor laundry, main floor bedroom, and main floor full bath with shower. Wayzata School District. Everybody loves that. minutes from multiple parks and trails, shopping, community centers. You don't want to miss this opportunity. Alex says, check that one out. It is 5-bed, 4-bath, 3,200 square feet, Mike, 850,000.
I was looking at lot sizes. You got over an acre lot there too.
Yeah, huge.
Which is nice.
Yeah, very nice one, Scott.
I've got a new one. This is actually my listing, Scott Wolmering with Remax Advantage Plus, 18901 Brookwood Road in Credit River on the Legends Golf Course. This is an executive property. This is a seven bathroom, 6-bedroom, 8,500 square foot home. It's listed at 2.5 million. It is the most prestigious property currently, I believe, on the market in Credit River, Lakeville Schools. Everything you could possibly imagine in this price range. The finish level, the duplication of this property to rebuild it would be over 4.5 million. So it is an incredible property. Too much to go into, but over an acre lot on the Legends Golf Course, swimming pools, movie stars, everything you can imagine that would be in this house. Best way to take a look at it is 18901 Brookwood Road. You can obviously look it up on MLS or Zillow or any website, or you can go to my personal Facebook page, Scott Wolmering, and there's a video on it. That's a company that I think does a real good job showing the property.
Steve's Home Inspection preferred partner. All of our partners are at mnrealestateshow.com. These, of course, are not random folks we just found. These are very trusted, hardworking, good, consumer-focused companies that the Minnesota real estate team has worked with for the last 25 years and that we recommend to our clients, Steve Stalock being one of those. You were just talking off air a little bit during the break about parents joining you at home inspections and how often that is.
It's not that common, but it does occur. And, I just acknowledge them and encourage, you're looking at someone who has owned 1 or 2 houses and they've got a lot of their hot points. They want to be heard. They'll say, they've got a couple of concerns. You listen to it, you point it out, you discuss, and you move on. So, they're just looking out for their kids and they're good people.
So Steve, one thing unique about Steve is you've kind of tell people your background a little bit from an engineering standpoint.
I'm an electrical engineer and I worked in computer design for about 15 years. So I've got that core engineering background. Decided to leave that field for various reasons and started up my own business, and here I am. So as an inspector, I just bring a very analytical approach to things. Sometimes it's like I'm looking at something that I can't, it's like you've never seen anything like this before. So you begin to dissect and try and understand what it is so you can explain it to the buyer. So I bring that capability to the business.
One thing, yeah, you walked in an open house of mine probably 25 years ago. That's how Steve and I met, and he's been my inspector ever since.
Yeah, one thing with the home inspection, again, from a buyer or seller standpoint, you're thinking about it. The idea of what you're really trying to determine is there something really significant, really major, something that's going to affect your home ownership? Any house, as we all know, has lots of little imperfections and different things. And Steve, your job with that background you just described is to help people assess that and determine, is this a good purchase for this price?
Well, I don't get into, is this a good purchase for the price? That's not anything that I'm doing. I don't take into account value. I take into account condition. So someone gets all excited because the house is in the right neighborhood and it clicks all the boxes. And then I come in and explain, here's what's going on with the house. Recently had a home this past week, had a little crawl space underneath the living room area. Well, the opening to the crawl space was pretty small, was able to get in, and then you look to the left, and here we have a big section of the foundation had gone, 2, 3, 4 inches settled. It's like, oh, they never looked in there before.
Yeah, that's not good.
So now we move forward. I think they're still interested in the house. Now they move forward, informed, and we're going to have this addressed. So that's the kind of thing that I'm doing. I can't see through walls. I don't tear apart houses, but still, I'm much more analytical, methodical about how I go about looking at a house. So we discover that sort of a defect.
Yeah, one thing that people don't really understand, Steve, is take a 4,000 square foot 2-story. What's your average time in that house for an inspection?
4,000 square feet. I'll probably be 3.5 to 4 hours just with the inspecting activities. And it could be, there's things that will affect that too. More complicated houses, if you have 2 or 3 heating systems, 2 or 3 attics, it's just, the logistics add up, and all of a sudden, I'm in there quite a while.
You ever gone into a house, done an inspection, and literally came out with like, there's literally nothing here that I would recommend or see wrong with this thing?
Years ago, I did have an inspection where there was nothing, no defect, nothing to discuss
Really?
once. And it was a brand new townhome. There was just, there wasn't even a missing window screen. It was just all in order. And I walk away from those saying, what the heck did I miss? Because there's always something, right? But no, that was very odd, and that was 15, 18 years ago.
Can you think of your worst home? One where you just had like 15 pages of stuff, and then you got to send it to the buyer's agent. You're just like, anything that comes to mind of one that was just like, wow.
So basically, do I ever see a house that, I'd say run away? No, that's never going to come out of my mouth. Versus explaining what is going on. And yes, I've had some reports where the summary is, pages and pages and crazy. And, for the most part, those buyers understand they're going into this expecting that because they know it's in pretty tough shape. One stands out to me, and it was an old house down in Red Wing. It was probably built in the late 1800s. And I'm going through, and there's, it was one of those things where it's feature rich of concerns and issues. And I was down in the basement, and I heard the voices. The buyers had shown up, and they were in the backyard. I was in the basement, and the foundation had a crack in it so large, I put my hand through the foundation wall and said, "Hi, I'm Steve. Good to meet you."
Really?
Yeah, that honestly happened. So do I ever see a house with such a serious, yeah, we're going to see them. But was that a surprise to that buyer? No.
Steve's a nice guy. Did you see him shaking hands through the phone? Hey, I'm Steve. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Good to see. Oh, nice to meet you. Oh, great. Oh, this is your father.
You got a little natural venting down here. Yeah, that is crazy. Well, we've talked about it on the show all the time. During the last couple of years, where there were a lot of inspections waived because of multiple offers and so on. Yeah, that freaks people out. But it really is a calculated risk. In all the years I've done it, my worst inspection was about $18,000. Stuff that needed to be done. So it's not really common that you're going to have just obviously you got a crack in the foundation wall, floors heaving. Well, you walk, but in normal
It's heaving.
Stuff, it's heaving.
Mostly, this is a process of education where I'm teaching, even in brand new construction, someone who's owned 2-3 houses, brand new construction, there are components in a house people do not understand. There's electrical things now that are, it's like, what the heck is that? Why is mine on the outside of the house? Those kind of things, like, I didn't know that was going on.
Yeah.
So I go through and I educate them about the house.
Hey, we're up against our final break. We're going to wrap our discussion with Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. Before we break, Melissa Noyes, great agent on the Minnesota real estate team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus, has one at 3222 Logan Avenue North, $239,900 as a recent price improvement. Got great original woodwork, hardwood floors, updated kitchen, 3 bedrooms, unfinished basement. $239,900 for this wonderful single family home. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Steve, you put your hand through the foundation.
To me, that was like one of the most
That's funny.
memorable moments of all time. And there are certain houses, and I'm sure over your careers, certain properties just kind of all of a sudden rush into your mind as like, oh, that was an interesting experience. And that one just on occasion comes back to me.
Hey, I got to give a special shout out to my first cousin, Mr. Craig Bayland. Craig, hope the family's doing well. Thanks for joining us, Craig. So what we used to do, guys, is Craig's dad and my mom are brother and sister. So we would always alternate going to the Balins. It was a treat. They lived in Forest Lake for like Thanksgiving. And then we would alternate a lot, but it was always fun.
Easter,
It
Thanksgiving.
was fun to go to the Balins because they had snowmobiles out on
Oh, yeah.
Forest Lake.
Nice.
They had like Nintendo or the latest. So it
The
was
latest
always
stuff,
a
yeah.
treat. We're always going right to the basement, you know, playing Nintendo. But Craig was a great, he was a hockey player. That guy, you were a great hockey player, Craig. But thanks, man. Thanks for listening and tuning in. What do you think, guys? Last few minutes of the show here. Deep thoughts for folks?
No, I was just saying when Steve was talking about putting his hand through the foundation wall, my first ever sale ever was a house in Farmington, middle of winter, brand new basement had been finished, just a little split level. You know, clients loved it. When spring hit, there was 6 inches of water in the basement.
Oh, no.
And when you rip the sheetrock off, there were literally 3-inch cracks in the foundation wall. So of course, you know, obviously the seller done that. And as years went by, at that time, it didn't seem that weird to me. I thought it was bad that they had done it. But in all the years since then, I've never had anybody cover. I mean, you know, it's going to be found out.
Right.
I mean, you know, and then of course, all the neighbors were like, oh my gosh, that house flooded every spring.
Hey, great builder, Brian Wolf. Brian, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. He says, good point. I think referring to Steve. He said, how often do you get requests for new construction inspections? As a builder, we personally do not mind them. A second set of eyes doesn't hurt.
Yeah, my experience, actually, the builders around town are pretty easy and good to work with. I know that's not the case around the country. But around the Twin Cities, yes. And normally it's, again, the process is teaching that buyer about what's in the house. But I do on occasion find some weird stuff in new construction. The more complicated the house gets, they forget to put insulation in some attics.
Hartung's house.
Yep.
That was Hartung's
Yep.
house.
I've seen where siding is just missed. One time I got up on top of a garage and you could not see from the street, but there was a whole section of vinyl siding not installed yet. And they were ready to close. So stuff happens.
Hey, Brian, what are you seeing in the spring market, you know, from the parade action, just activity with your, feel free to comment with your thoughts. Julie Harris says, great show as always. Best real estate team, best show. Thank you. Happy Easter to you, Julie. We got a comment that says, I really like when Scott talks.
I'm sure.
Talk more.
I'm sure opinions vary.
We really like when Scott talks. Please talk more. Hey, we were just mentioning on the social media, we had a comment come in that says, we just love when Scott talks. We just really enjoy when Scott has thoughts. Steve, what do you think? Do you enjoy when Scott talks?
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. He's got some wisdom.
Both my ex-wives have T-shirts that say that. I really enjoy when Scott talks.
Right.
Yes.
Well, to your credit, young man, you are good friends with both of them.
I
You
am.
have 3 wonderful children, and yeah, you guys, you all get together even.
We're all getting together for Easter. Yep.
Yep.
It's a thing. It works. It's weird for most people, but for us, it works.
Yep, you're good folks. Good. No, I know both of Jen and Andrea, and yeah, very good folks. Hey, Mike, before we wrap up, actually, we had put a question to a local builder, Brian Wolf. I had asked him about activity, and he said it's a crazy April activity, a lot of activity. We sold 9 inventory homes in the last 40 days.
Wow, good for them.
Well, yeah, which is crazy busy. So, Mike, that's and you guys, Mike, you work with a lot of new construction. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
We do. You know, Hudson Murphy, who's a co-branch manager of mine, he's one of the preferred lenders there for Fieldstone Family Homes. So he's seen the activity for sure on his end. And like I said, we're certainly up this spring versus last spring. And you can feel it. You guys feel it. I think the whole Minnesota real estate team feels it here too. So even Steve, he's busier this spring doing inspections than last spring. So it's good.
Yeah, and just a shameless plug for Fieldstone. They're one of my favorite builders, especially in the area that I work south of the river. 2 things make a good builder. Obviously, product. There's a lot of builders that actually have a decent product. That's the first component of it. The second component, where the majority of builders, in my opinion, absolutely fall short, is in follow-up staying in touch, taking care of let's call them warranty issues after the fact, punch list issues after the fact. And Brian Wolf and Fieldstone is excellent. They don't disappear. You will feel warm and cuddly if you build a house with them.
Hey, Mike, real quick, I've seen a lot of success stories with Luminate Bank for local real estate buyers and agents on the Minnesota real estate team winning in multiple offer situations. Maybe talk about what you guys offer.
Yeah, we have two offerings, if you will, that has really stuck out to me this spring. The first one is our $15,000 close on time guarantee. So if you qualify for that as a buyer, when you make an offer to a seller, we're going to guarantee that we close on time. Otherwise, we're going to pay the seller $15,000. So why would we pay the seller versus the buyer? Because we want our buyers to be able to win in those multiple offer situations. So if a seller has 6, 7 offers on the table, and this offer over here is guaranteeing that they're going to close on time, but if they don't, we're going to put 15 grand extra in our pocket. That's going to help your offer, Mr. Buyer, stick out to that seller. And then the other thing too is we have our Illuminate Fly Homes program. Maybe you're a contingent buyer out there and you're making contingent offers, and I guarantee you're not having any luck at all with those contingent offers because you got your current house you have to sell. This particular program allows us to get you into that new house first without selling your current house. So now you can go make a non-contingent offer, and now you can actually compete with the other buyers out there.
Yeah, that's a great program. And in contingent or in multiple offers, obviously purchase price, ease of sale, and who the lender is. That's ease of sale. Is there going to be a problem? Look at what are you going to net? Are there any issues that come up? And is it a local lender that have money at the table?
Steve, again, great to have you as always. Encourage fellow listening buyers to work with Steve. Best way for people to connect with you, bud?
Well, my phone number is 952-891-4455, but by far the easiest way is to go to mnrealestateshow.com. Great website. Look under preferred partners, scroll down to home inspectors, and look for that handsome bald guy. You'll find my information there.
Yeah, Steve Stalock really doing a nice job. And Steve, I'm going to have that thought of you in that Red Wing home for quite a while.
Yeah, that was an experience.
Scott, last thoughts for folks?
No, I was just thinking if there was a single website for inspectors, that could be your profile. It'd be handsome bald guy.
Yeah. Steve
Other than that real estate, I have nothing to add.
Hey, Mike, last thoughts?
Still a great time to buy a house. You know, I still get the question, do we buy now? Do we wait? Typically that means, you know, I'm in a lease. Do I sign another year lease and try next year? No, don't do that. If you have the ability to buy now. Home prices are just going to be higher next year based on our inventory, based on the inventory of the last how many years. You'll definitely get a better deal on that house today versus waiting another year. So plug in with us and we'll help run some numbers.
Yeah, great job, Scott.
Yeah, you too. It's gonna be a fun market. You know, frankly, the fact that we're at 7,800, we're at 7,800 homes is going to help us. We're at the end here. I'll let Brian break us.
Hey, Ryan Perpich, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate Rye. Appreciate you all joining us. Happy Easter to everyone. And if you want to see Ryan O'Neill in a bunny costume, I brought out the bunny costume this week for the O'Neill Foundation of Hope. Appreciate everybody joining us. Happy Easter, and we'll be back next Saturday. Take care. Scott, by the way, for that bunny costume, we tried to ask Scott to wear the. You didn't show up though, then, Scott.
Well, I've got so many bunny costumes, so it was hard to pick which one I was going to wear, and then I got frustrated, and so then I just decided not to do it.
The one with the deep cut,
Yes,
the little
I
tail
wanted
and
the one,
back,
the one that shows a little more cleavage.
Hugh Hefner model.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex Owner says I already copy wrote on handsome bald guy. Kelly Johnson says, "Hey guys, thanks for joining us." Quick question. Shelby says, "Is a sump pump popping GFIs in the basement flooding 3 times since we bought the property at 2.5 years old, covered typically by the 10-year warranty of the builder?" So it sounds like new construction, 10-year warranty of the builder. Sump pump is popping GFIs, basement's flooding 3 times. That's a problem, guys.
It is, and so you're talking about the 1-2-10 warranty.
Yeah, is that going to be covered by the warranty?
So workmanship is the
10
the
years.
10 years. The 2 years is major appliances, I doubt,
That's a
I
good
doubt
question.
it. I doubt it, but you'd have to check the warranty.
Whoever that is, I'd say get an electrician out there. There's a reason it's tripping.
Yeah.
And you gotta resolve that.
Yeah, Shelby, feel free to reach out directly to. We're happy to help you, to take a look, to connect and see what can be done to help resolve that situation. Sorry about that. I have a situation right now, same thing, water in the basement of a property, no fun. It's no fun, so I'm sorry that that's happening. Alex Zauner says, when is the next investment 201 seminar? That's where we pick a topic, we go deep on a set topic, evictions, home inspections, forming LLCs to buy investment properties. We don't have the exact date, but we'll be posting that on the site here soon with that topic as well. So appreciate your patience on that. Thanks so many folks joining us here. Mike, you got a haircut.
I did.
Yeah,
Thanks for
looks
noticing,
good.
Ryan. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we've got some comments about Mike's haircut too.
I did not.
Hey, it's been a fun show. Happy Easter, everybody. We'll be back next week. Steve, good job, bud.
Hey, always fun.
Don't work so much. You need to take a little break.
Okay, Mom.
Yeah, don't work so